Mortgage rates are the highest they have been in 23 years. So, is today a really good time to buy a property, or should you wait until interest rates start to come down? Let's dive into it. Hi, my name is Felipe Crook with EXP Realty. I've been a realtor for over 20 years, and this is the highest that I've ever seen interest rates in my entire real estate career. But before I say whether or not you should or should not buy a property right now, let's talk about what is going on in the marketplace here in Los Angeles. If there was a screenplay about Los Angeles real estate, it would probably be titled The Law of Supply and Demand. Here in California, we have a major housing shortage. And over the last 4 years, that housing shortage has gotten even worse. If you look at this graph from July of 2019, before the pandemic, our inventory is down 50.1%. And just like the law of supply and demand, every time that the supply is low, demand increases, which increases your pricing. Now, if you couple that with what we saw in interest rates over the last 3 years, where they were 2%, 2.5%, 3%, 4%, that created such demand and such fever to get into properties at that low interest rates that we started seeing multiple offers on properties, and a price appreciation went through the roof over the last 2 or 3 years. Now, most economists expected that when interest rates started to go up dramatically, that it would put a big downward pressure on pricing. But take a look at these stats from September of this year. The median sales price for single-family homes was $865,000. And look, it went up 3% over the last year. Biggest shift that we saw in our real estate market is the amount of sales. So if you see here, there was only 3,100 homes that sold in Los Angeles County. That number is down by 20%. The other thing that we're starting to see is more price reductions happening on existing active single-family homes on the multiple listing service. Now, what is causing such an inventory shortage? Well, let me show you this chart, which blew my mind. 70.7% of all mortgage holders in California have a mortgage less than 4% right now. Now, if you look at today's rates, they're like 7.92 up into the eights. No seller in their right mind is going to sell a home unless they absolutely have to with a 4% interest rate and get a house for 8% interest rate. If you look at this chart, it shows that only 11% who have a mortgage right now would probably sell, or will, yes, most definitely sell. That means 89% of everyone who owns a home, they're either going to die in their home because they have a 3% interest rate, or they probably will never sell, or they must think very, very hard before they actually do sell. So these high interest rates are impacting inventory as well as buyer demand. Now, let me explain why it might be beneficial to buy something now versus waiting for interest rates to go down. As interest rates started creeping up to 6 and 7%, you started to see more and more buyers stop searching for homes. They just went off into the sidelines and they say, nope, this is too rich for me. I'm going to wait until interest rates start to come down. That is enabling buyers who can currently qualify in today's market to negotiate more with their sellers. Buyers have more negotiating room now than they did even 6 months ago. What do you think is going to happen when interest rates start to go back down? All of those buyers are going to come back into the marketplace. You're going to start seeing multiple offers on properties again, which is going to drive prices up even further. And do you think you're going to have any negotiating room when you're in multiple offer situation? Absolutely not. Right now, you're starting to see more sellers willing to negotiate with buyers because the market demand has slowed down so much. So if you can qualify for a mortgage right now, here's what I would recommend doing. I would try to get a 3-2-1 buy down or a 2-1 buy down from the sellers. That basically means you're going to ask the sellers for a seller contribution, and they're going to subsidize your mortgage for the next 3 years, 2 years, or even 1 year. This will enable you to have a lower payment for the first year, a little higher payment the second year, and a little higher payment the third year, and then back to the original rate. But by that time, hopefully rates will have come back down and you can refinance and get a fixed mortgage at a lower rate. This is one of the negotiating tools that I'm seeing more and more buyers have the power to negotiate with right now. You had no chance of getting a 3-2-1 buy down for this type of program even 6 months ago, because sellers were not willing to negotiate because they had multiple offers on properties left and right. Why would a seller make a contribution when they have 5 offers and somebody's willing to pay above the asking price with no contingencies? They just didn't have the need to do this. Now that buyer demand is a little bit slower, you're starting to see some sellers willing to pay some kind of seller contribution or do a price reduction. So there are ways that you can buy a property now and maintain a lower mortgage rate for a couple years until interest rates start to come back down and then you refinance. Now, one of the reasons why Los Angeles is so popular, and it's probably the number one reason why people like to live here, it's the weather. I mean, it's the beginning of November and it's 80 degrees. I'm seeing friends on the East Coast that have snow on the ground. I mean, why do you want to live in a place with snow? I'm just kidding. I used to live in Colorado, so I have a little bit of PTSD from all this shoveling of snow for years and years and years. I don't want to live in places with snow, and it is gorgeous here almost all year round. So the weather is a number one factor of people wanting to live in California. The second big factor is culture. I know that LA has such a bad reputation of being very superficial and vapid, but after living here for 6 years, I think that is completely a wrong narrative. If you want to see great museums, we have them here. If you want to see a symphony in a world-class venue called the Walt Disney Concert Hall by Frank Gehry, we have that here. If you want to see every single touring artist in concert, they're going to tour in Los Angeles. If you're a foodie, you are going to love Los Angeles. We have Michelin star restaurants, local celebrity chefs, and a ton of diverse options. And remember, California is the 5th largest economy in the world. We have every type of industry that you could want. The opportunities that are in this state are huge. All of these factors contribute to why so many people want to live here and want to move to Los Angeles. So in conclusion, if you can buy a property right now, I would try to do that before interest rates start to go down, because as soon as they start to go down, everyone is going to come out of the woodwork and you will start seeing multiple offers and price increases dramatically. So if you can do it now, avoid all of that competition, negotiate the best possible deal, maybe do a 3-2-1 buy down or a 2-1 buy down, and get the best possible mortgage rate that you can until interest rates start to go down, and then you refinance. I get calls all the time for people moving to Silver Lake or Echo Park. If you have any questions and if you would like to move here, I would be more than happy to help you find a property in Silver Lake, Echo Park, Los Feliz, Highland Park, Eagle Rock, Mount Washington. I'm your guy. And if you like this video, I'm sure you're going to love the next one on screen right. My name is Felipe Crook from EXP Realty, investing in your dreams.